Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you, many kings and prophets have desired to see what you see, and have not seen it. To hear what you hear, and have not heard it. I thank you, Father, for hiding these things from the learned and the wise, and revealing them to the innocent and the simple. For he who would be great among you must be your servant. He who would be the first must be your slave.
Just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Come, O blessed of my Father, and inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me.
I was naked, and you clothed me. I was a prisoner, and you visited me. I was sick, and you came to me. You will ask, when did we do this for you? Whoever does this to the least of my brethren, he does it to me.
I've been saying for many years that humanity itself has been hijacked by the religious world through the scholars, especially the scribes, who are mostly the scribes, and then the scholars came behind that. But what is meant by saying that humanity itself has been hijacked by religious doctrine, it only implies that righteous people and their deeds toward humanity and against the evils of humanity has been documented and basically recorded in books. And these books were stamped to be a guideline in certain religions. And therefore, the people who committed these humane acts to help guide humanity in the right place were made to believe that these particular human beings were a part of these religions that were organized and who hijacked their good deeds towards humanity. And I wrote down some notes, and I'm hoping that this video is not going to be too long because this is the direction that I'm going in. And I have been leading up to for a long time in terms of this content. Now, a lot of people, of course, are going to say, Jesus wasn't a white man. Jesus was a black man. I could care less. It's not about his racial makeup. It's about the message. It has always been about the word, the message. It has never been about race. And this is one of the primary reasons why the Europeans, once they got a hold to this information, they drew him as a white man because they themselves hijacked him and made him as a European, which put a lot of people who are quote unquote black in the position to claim him not to be a white man, but to be a black man. And with this, it got the world tied up in this whole racial issue when the man himself never spoke race. It wasn't about race. It was about the betterment of humanity. It has always been about the message and not the man's race. So it's all about humanity. Now I'm going to go through some notes because what I've noticed about myself in terms of making these videos, whenever I write down notes, my videos tend to be a little bit shorter, you know, because a lot of times I don't intend to make these videos really long. But my notes says, humanity has been hijacked by religious doctrine for many generations and therefore claimed as the root of civilization, and has buried and therefore blinded the entire world of humanity itself, which is said to be in the hearts of men and women. That goes in support of when Yeshua had said the kingdom of heaven is within the human being, in which goes in opposition of what religion claims based upon religion's definition. And religious definition has always been man's search for God, which implies religion itself is telling you that they have not found God. And therefore, the people who decided to design the structure of religion were not godly people. However, they had to insert godly people as Yeshua into their religion in order to consecrate the religious design in terms of religion itself. If that's making sense to you. And this is when he said, I thank you, Father, for revealing this to the innocent and the simple. In opposition of certain information getting back to people who are the scribes and the Pharisees, who are injecting holy people into their program, and therefore claiming that these people represent religion, when none of these people, primarily Yeshua, never agreed with religious doctrine. And I go back to my notes. However, the religious scholars, the scribes, have taken the divine principles of humanity and have injected those human attributes inside of their structured religions for the sake of claiming themselves divine, and therefore separate from the rest of civilization, and in the same movement condemn civilization instead of reaching civil conduct, teaching civil conduct. See, what religion does, it doesn't bring the human family together as one. When you claim to be a part of any religious sect, that's the greatest violence of humanity, because you're separating yourself from humanity itself by saying, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, I'm a Muslim, I'm thus and so, and etc. That is committing a very violent blow against humanity, not only psychologically, but emotionally and emotionally, in every aspect of the human heart and mind, because you're shattering humanity into different fragments, and each fragment is claiming the wholeness of humanity, when each fragment is telling the biggest lie. And each fragment is claiming the whole. He goes on to say, I was hungry and you gave me food. We're talking about principles of action. This is what we're talking about. And that's not religious based. That's humanity. When you see someone hungry, for you to say, as a Christian, I gave him something to eat. No, as a human being, you're supposed to feed a person when they're hungry. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. Decency. It's all about how you treat the other human being. You don't have to necessarily know them or be familiar with them. Simply because you don't know them on a personal basis, it does not justify mistreatment towards them. You ought to treat everyone with love and decency. That's the humane thing to do. That's not a religious thing. It's not a religious thing. It's humanity. I was naked and you clothed me. So we're going into people who need clothes. I came up in a community in Chicago named Chatham Village. And a whole lot of the elders would, of course, notice a child if he was wearing the same clothes every day. They would pick up the phone, and I would use myself as a example, because by me being a martial artist and I was really into Bruce Lee a whole lot, whenever I had wore my kung fu gis, I would wear those clothes every day, because it's not that I didn't have clothes, it's just that I was a martial artist and I was into Bruce Lee. And I was feeling good being a martial artist, and so I would wear my gis a whole lot. However, a whole lot of elders would observe me every day, and so they didn't accuse my particular elders of not buying me clothes. They didn't judge my elders because I wore the same clothes practically every day, because I love martial artists. What had concerned them was the fact that every time that they saw me, I was in the same clothes. And so they would pick up the phone and they would inquire to my mother or my great-grandmother, hey, I have some extra clothes over here. And they would ask them why. They say, well, what I notice is that I see David wearing his kung fu gi all the time. I would just, if I have some extra clothes over here, if he needs clothes, I have extra clothes that I think would fit him. Now, my elders, they didn't get offended or upset, especially not the way that the community is this day. They would say, oh no, he has plenty clothes. It's just that David is into Bruce Lee and into martial arts, and he likes to wear his kung fu gi all the time. And so they would say, "Oh, okay, I understand. But if you ever need any clothes, I have some extra clothes over here. I wouldn't mind giving to you in case you are short of clothes over there." So that's a principle of action. You know, I was naked and you clothed me. I was a prisoner and you visited me. Now, prisoner don't necessarily always imply being in jail or being in prison. It also means a person who is a prisoner of tremendous pain, and they so happen to be in a hospital. And you go and visit them and see how they're doing, because that's the humane thing to do. You don't do that because you're a Christian. You don't do that because you're a Muslim. You do that because you can relate to that person because you're a human being. That's what that means. That's what that means. Or a prisoner of anger or depression. You offer your time and counsel to them. So it could mean that. And you know how this and how he says, the people asked, "When did we do all of this for you?" And he said, "Those who do this for the least of my brethren, he does this also unto me." So he was not speaking as a religious man. He was speaking as a man of humanity. So the message is a message of humanity on how human beings should treat one another. So Yeshua's presence on earth was not to establish a religion. When it says that I am the way, the truth, and the light, and none can get to the Father except through me, he was talking about being an example of being humane and therefore a human being. So when I said that this is the direction that my videos are getting ready to go into, I'm making this short video to help people understand that it's not about you being Christian. It's not about you being Muslim. It's not about you being Jehovah's Witness. It is about doing what is right, doing what is humane. Okay? This is the reason why he said the kingdom of heaven is within you, the human being. It is within the human being.